My name is Thomas Grant. I'm 38 years old. A former Marine, lost my right leg in Fallujah. For the past 3 years, I've been living quietly in Clayton, Texas, the kind of town where people still clap during veterans parades, but look away when you walk into the grocery store with a prosthetic leg showing beneath your jeans. That day, I was standing in front of Iron Forge Gym. Derek Jensen, former star quarterback, was head trainer there. I didn't pick this gym because it was convenient. I picked it because my VA doctor told me, "You need full-body strength recovery. Go work out, Thomas. If not for yourself, then for your independence." I wanted to walk without a cane. And deep down, I wanted to be looked at like a regular guy, not some living relic from a war museum. I pushed the door open. The early Texas winter wind sliced at my neck as I stepped into the smell of steel, sweat, and old-school rock blasting from a worn JBL speaker. The walls were covered in American flags and bold red signs that screamed, "No excuses, no pity." That slogan hit me like a punch to the gut. The young blonde receptionist barely looked up from her phone. She glanced at my titanium leg and, without a word of greeting, yelled across the gym, Derek's special needs case at the front. I clenched my fists. The tip of my crutch hit the vinyl floor. Thud, thud, heads turned, a few whispers. One guy doing deadlifts shook his head with a smirk, like he'd just witnessed something pathetic. I'm used to that feeling. Doesn't make it hurt any less. Derek stepped out from the training area, tall, broad shoulders, eyes hard as forged steel. He was Clayton's golden boy, the high school legend whose NFL dreams crashed with a knee injury, only to return and reign supreme as the town's gym king. He looked me over from prosthetic to crutch before finally meeting my gaze. Then came that smug little curl of the lip. "You here to train or just swing by to inspire us all?" I held his gaze steady. "I'm here for rehab, heavy training, full program." He crossed his arms, raised a brow. "Iron Forge isn't a place for healing. We make strong people stronger. We don't coddle emotions." "I don't need coddling," I said. "I once crawled through burning brush to drag my teammate out of a mortar blast. Trust me, I can handle this." "Good." He tossed a clipboard on the counter. "Just don't bring your self-pity in with you." A few people chuckled quietly, but louder than the laughs was the sharp clack of my crutch hitting the floor. I filled out the form. Full name Thomas R. Grant. Veteran ID, disability status, 70%. No one asked why, but every stare in that room knew the story. Every step I took spoke volumes. First day, I kept to a corner. Cable pulls, dumbbell curls, but within minutes, my body was trembling with imbalance. When I moved to the leg press, just 30 pounds, my prosthetic slipped. I fell hard, the machine crashing with a thunderous bang. Everyone stopped. The deadlift guy mumbled something under his breath. The receptionist raised her phone. I caught the flash of that red recording light. Maybe it was only seconds, but it felt like a year. I tried to stand. Derek appeared. He didn't help. He glanced down at my exposed prosthetic, then nudged it with the toe of his sneaker like it was trash. "Next time, tighten your latch," he said, sarcasm dripping. I looked straight into his eyes, cold, empty. He didn't need to say I didn't belong. His face said it for him. I fixed my leg back on, got up, walked out. No one stopped me. But as I reached the exit, I felt someone watching. It was the old woman with silver hair sitting cross-legged in the yoga corner. She didn't smile. She didn't pity me. She just gave a small nod like a quiet whisper. "I've seen people fall. And I've seen them rise." That night, I sat alone in my kitchen, cold beer in hand, on the table. An old photo of me and the Bravo patrol squad hung crooked hook, worn out. I remembered the day clearly. We'd just survived a VBID attack near Karmat Ali. Back then, I had both legs, and I had my best friend now paralyzed in Arlington. Then my phone buzzed. A text. Unknown number. Attached video. From Jim fails USA disabled vet. Falls hard at Iron Forge. #wobbly warrior. Beneath the video, dozens of laughing comments. That moment, I realized this wasn't just between me and Derek anymore. This was the whole town, the internet, every damn assumption that I should stay home and stay quiet. I opened the drawer, pulled out my purple heart, set it next to the beer, stared at it, and whispered, "You just picked the wrong guy to mess with, Derek." When I showed up at Iron Forge on day 2, the air felt heavier, like the walls themselves were watching. Nobody stopped me, but it was obvious everyone knew who I was. The disabled vet from the video blowing up all over TikTok. The clip was barely 15 seconds long. Me falling backward, prosthetic leg slipping out of place, my face smacking the floor. Laughter in the background. Caption read, "Wobbly Warrior shows off at Clayton's top gym." Tagged with Doig's Motivation Monday. Over 400,000 views in just 2 days. I didn't know who posted it, but I knew exactly who filmed it. Shannon, the blonde receptionist, was back at her desk, pretending not to recognize me, but the look in her eyes said it all surprised that I had the nerve to return. Or maybe disappointment the clip hadn't gone viral enough to shame me into disappearing. I didn't say a word, just walked to the free weights and started again. Derek was across the room, coaching a group of young guys on deadlifts. He spotted me, smirked, then said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Anyone want to bet I give it 2 weeks?" Cripple taps out before workout number 10. The guys cracked up, one of them Kyle, better known around the gym as Little Beast, turned and stared at me with a cocky grin. $10 says he quits this week. I didn't respond, didn't back down. I kept going with back exercises, feeling every spasm down my spine, every shake in my left arm still haunted by shrapnel from years ago. I remembered survival drills in the desert, the scorching 120-degree heat. And I told myself, this gym, this isn't hell. I've seen hell, but the body doesn't lie. By the 3rd session, I was doing single-leg TRX squats, my knee trembling like a twig in a storm. By day 4, I cramped hard, mid-lift, collapsing onto the mat. This time, no one laughed. They didn't have to. I was already the punchline. Now, they were just counting down. That night, I couldn't bring myself to open social media. A few texts came in from old squad mates. "You okay? Grant saw the clip." "Shouldn't have let them catch that. That's what they wait for. If you need me, holler. But honestly, maybe gyms just aren't for you anymore." I could hear the worry in their words, but beneath it, I felt something else doubt. The question no one dared ask out loud. Why are you still trying? You're not a soldier anymore. That question haunted me the rest of the week. Then, Friday night, a DM popped up on my Instagram. No name, no emoji, just straight text. "You fought for your country. Now fight for your dignity. I've got something for you." Attached was an address, Aegis Veterans Center, Fort Worth, and a name, Mia Rivers. I'd never heard of her. But the way that message was written, no pity, no sugarcoating, just a challenge, it felt real. Raw. Undeniably real. The next morning, I drove 2 hours to Fort Worth, a freezing Saturday morning, and I showed up at that center. Mia was waiting right on time. She was black, maybe in her 40s, hair tied up, wore a grey hoodie and black leggings, her eyes laser sharp. A long scar ran from her shoulder down to her elbow, the unmistakable mark of a pro athlete who had hit the wall and come back. "Thomas Grant," she said. No handshake, just a nod. "Former Marine, Bravo, 2 Unit, Purple Heart, 2010, out of active rehab for 3 years, weak flexors, cause almost non-functional." I froze. "How do you know all that I train people like you? And your TikTok clip, plenty of folks sent it to me." Most laughed. I saw potential. She pointed behind her to the training room. No loud music, no flashy slogans, just rehab machines, water weights, and a white wall with one messy, handwritten line, "We train pain, We don't pity it. You can go back to that place, keep being humiliated and become a meme, or you can train with me. No cameras, no laughter, but no hand-holding either. I stared into her eyes, steady, unflinching, not a drop of sympathy. And for the first time since I left active duty, I felt something I hadn't in years, an unspoken command. From someone who understood command. I nodded. Mia said only one thing: we start Monday. 4 a.m. If you're late, don't come back. That next week, while Derek kept counting down his 2 weeks at Iron Forge, I, Thomas Grant, began day one of a new kind of training. Not for the internet, not for applause, but to silence his laughter with real, unshakable strength. Every morning at 4 a.m., I drove nearly 80 miles to the Aegis Center. The highway was still fogged over, trucks roaring by in the other lane, and there I was, just a disabled vet gripping the wheel, barreling toward the one place that made me feel like I was building myself again. Mia was always waiting in the gym, never late. She didn't bother with empty pep talks or soft glances. Her go-to line was simple: I don't care what you lost, I care what you've got left to fight with. The first drill she gave me was a side plank balanced on my left elbow and my prosthetic leg. I lasted 10 seconds before crashing down. She didn't sigh, didn't flinch, just said again. So I did. And I fell, and I did it again, and fell again. There were no reps, no breaks, just a rhythm fall. Get up, repeat. That first week, I couldn't sit up straight by nightfall. My shoulders burned like they'd been set on fire. My spine felt like someone had wedged bricks between the vertebrae. But somewhere in the wreckage of my body, something old began to flicker, a feeling I hadn't had since Fallujah. Pride, not for surviving, but for taking on a mission that nobody asked me to do, and that's what made it worth doing. Meanwhile, Iron Forge kept grinding. I didn't go back, but the old videos were still floating around. Derek must have thought I'd quit. He even posted a story. Some people are born to fight. Some just like to pretend they did. Below that, a cartoon sticker of a one-legged guy lying flat on his face. I didn't react. No comments, no shares. I just trained. In silence, Mia moved me to single-leg deadlifts, the nastiest thing I'd ever attempted. She taught me to feel the ground through my hip, not my knee or heel. When the body has no way out, it finds a way to survive. She said that while I was soaked in sweat, face buried in the mat, gritting my teeth to keep the barbell from slipping. The first time I lifted 135 pounds on one leg. Mia looked at me and said, "Now you're a real gym rat." That night, I came home, opened my closet, and pulled out something I'd buried for over 2 years, an application for the strongest comeback competition in Clayton. It's a local event held every spring, designed for people who'd overcome adversity. I'd once thought about signing up, but then the video happened. The mockery. The pity-stained stares of this damn town. So I shoved the form in a drawer, along with what felt like a foolish dream. This time, I didn't put it back. I filled it out. Thomas R. Grant, Division Adaptive, Deadlift and Conditioning. Timeline, exactly 11 months, the next Monday. I handed the application to Mia. She didn't look surprised, just nodded. Then pulled out a strict meal plan from her locker. Protein, carbs, rest windows timed to the minute. No alcohol, no sugar, no once-in-a-whiles. "You sure you want this?" "I don't want it." I said, "I need it." "Good." She nodded. Because when you step on that stage, no one gives a damn why you're there. They only care if you deserve to be. That day, I looked in the mirror and asked myself, if the whole town sees you as a joke, how are you going to answer? I already knew the answer. I didn't say it out loud. I'd show them. Not with words, but with every pound I pulled, every muscle that screamed, every step I took without a crutch. By month 3, I could jog on the prosthetic. By month 5, I was deadlifting 225 pounds. By month 8, Mia quietly recorded my training for the first time. No hashtags, no captions. Just one email, sent only to me. You're not the wobbly warrior anymore. 11 months later, on a warm spring day, I walked past Iron Forge. Not to train, just passing through. Derek was inside, coaching a new crew, too busy to notice me. But Kyle, the kid who bet $10 I'd quit, he saw me. He froze. Didn't recognize me at first. No limp, no hesitation, no crutch, just me. Standing tall, shoulders broad beneath a grey hoodie. I looked him straight in the eye, then turned to walk away, leaving him with just one line. 2 weeks felt kinda long. That night, I opened my email to find an official notice from the event committee. Mr. Thomas Grant, your application has been accepted. Best of luck at the strongest comeback. 4 weeks to go. Below it was the judging panel. Third name on the list, Derek Jensen. I laughed, not loud, just a soft chuckle, like fate had just winked at me. You thought I was a punchline. Let's see how hard you laugh when I'm standing on that podium. On the first morning of week 49, I woke up before the alarm. Not from nerves, but because my body was so locked into the rhythm Mia had drilled into me like military clockwork. By 4 a.m., I was geared up, prosthetic on, shoes laced, pre-workout downed, keys in hand, no more coffee, no more late-night beers. My body, after nearly a year, was no longer just something that bore the past. It had become a weapon. On the drive to Aegis, I played the same track Mia always blasted when she pushed me to the edge. Lose Yourself by Eminem. The beat shook the car. That chorus wasn't just motivation, it was a reminder. If you had one shot, one opportunity. And this time, I wasn't letting it slip. Inside the gym, Mia stood by the whiteboard. Written on it, my final week's workout. 3 sets. Deadlift, X, 315 lb. One-legged burpees, 50-foot truck pull. Vistilibi sled push. Mental burn, 10 minutes, no description. I looked at the list and chuckled. Funny, I don't see a category called Take It Easy on the vet. Mia raised an eyebrow. In here, vets don't get special treatment. They get special operations. We started with deadlifts. Each pull made my prosthetic stomp the floor with a heavy thud-thud like a war drum. My core locked tight, spine braced with a belt, hands gripping until the skin split. Every set was a battle, but for the first time ever, I didn't feel like I was missing anything. By 7 a.m., we were sitting on the steps outside Aegis. My hands were bleeding. My prosthetic was caked in dust, my shirt soaked. But my heart, steady. No panic, no pain I couldn't conquer. Mia unscrewed a jar of peanut butter protein spread and handed it over. You know why I started doing this job? I shook my head. She pointed to the long scar running down her left arm. I was a pro CrossFit athlete. During a competition, my sled veered off course on a downhill sprint. Wrecked my arm. That crash ended everything, my titles, my sponsorships, even my fiancé, who just happened to be my coach. He told me, and I quote, "There's no future with someone who can't lift." For a while, I wanted to die. She paused, eyes locked on mine. Then one day, I saw this double amputee vet doing push-ups like his life depended on it. I walked up to him, asked why he still trained. Another pause. He said, "Because I once stood tall. I just want to see if I can again." She smiled faintly. That's when I decided if I can't compete anymore, I'll help others. Stand tall. That afternoon, I returned to Clayton, stopped by the farmer's market downtown. No one recognized me at first. I wasn't limping, no cane, T-shirt snug over broad shoulders and a solid back. An older man, Mr. Ralph, who used to fix cars with my dad, looked up, blinked twice. "Grant, that you, Lord?" "You're back." I just nodded, no words needed. That night, I FaceTimed my mom. She lives in Arizona with my sister. We hadn't spoken in 4 months, not out of anger, but because I didn't want her worrying. "You've lost weight," she said, eyes sparkling. "But you look brighter." "I'm training for a competition," I replied, biting my lip. I know you've always been scared I'd fall back into something extreme, but this time's different. This time, it's for me. I never feared you were weak," she said quietly. "I was just scared you'd forget how strong you've always been." 2 weeks before Strongest Comeback, I got an email from the organisers. "Thomas Grant, your event slot is 4:15 p.m. Sunday at Clayton High Stadium." That place. That was the same stadium where I'd once stood tall after returning from the Marines. The same place where, just last year, Derek handed out medals to local champions while hundreds of townspeople cheered like he was the last hero standing. Mia said she was coming with me. I asked her why. She just replied, "Because some nightmares only end when you walk straight into the light where they began." Back at Aegis, she pinned a new photo to the gym wall. It was me, from behind, pushing a 200 lb sled across the rubber mat, prosthetic leg pressed deep into the floor. Underneath it, in bold red marker, she wrote, "Not to prove it to anyone else, but so you never forget again." The day of the competition, Clayton looked like it had dressed itself in celebration. The high school stadium had been transformed, banners fluttered in the breeze, balloons bobbed overhead, food trucks lined the lot, and white plastic chairs circled the competition field. Since sunrise, the local news had been broadcasting live, dubbing it Clayton's most inspiring event of the year. I sat in my truck, parked along the stadium's edge. Black hoodie pulled low over my head. I gripped the strap of my lifting belt with both hands, eyes shut, deep breaths, heart steady. No music, no hype. Just me and the mission. Mia leaned against the driver's side door, her gaze as sharp as ever. "You ready?" I nodded. "No words?" "Then let's go. This isn't a workout anymore. This is your stage." We stepped into the competition zone, swallowed by the hum of a growing crowd. Stadium lights flooded the arena. Underneath my hoodie, I felt the stares, surprised, curious, some stopping cold and whispering. I caught a familiar face, Shannon, the receptionist from Iron Forge. She was handing out flyers by the registration booth. Her face stiffened the moment she recognized me. But this time, there was no phone lifted, no scoff, just silence. I pulled off my hoodie. My body, hardened, broad shoulders, defined traps, titanium prosthetic gleaming under the arena lights. And just like that, every whisper stopped. Then, over the loudspeaker, next competitor, Adaptive Strength Division, Thomas Grant, 38, former U.S. Marine, Clayton. Texas applause, not thunderous, but real. My eyes scanned the judges' table, and there he was, center seat. Just as the email had said Derek Jensen, his gaze landed on me. A flicker of shock, his jaw tightened. I stared back. No nod, no smile. Just steps forward. First challenge, deadlift 225 pounds, prosthetic leg, 3 reps. I stepped to the bar, chalked hands, deep inhale, shoulders locked. Mia's old words echoed. No one cares what you've lost. They're watching what you've got left to prove. Grip, core, tight, drive from the heel. First, pull clean, break from the floor. Second, neck, stiff, prosthetic, thudding against the platform. Third, hip, locked at the top. Held a second, lowered, under control. Applause erupted and flashbulbs popped. Coach Clive, senior athletics trainer for the school, nodded in approval. But Derek, stone-faced, didn't write a thing, didn't blink. Second event, farmer walk, 100 lb in each hand, 40 feet. I lifted the weights. Calloused hands, torn from months of grind, clamped down like steel. Each step rumbled the ground. My prosthetic shifted half-step correction, kept moving, 20 feet, 30. Voices rose from the stands. Let's go, Grant, you got this. Marine, I crossed the line, dropped the weights, bowed my head, heart still beating calm, like it belonged there. Final event, sled push, 275 lb, 20 feet. I crouched low, shoulder against the bar, core engaged, drove with the hips. The sled didn't budge, But I remembered that fall at Iron Forge. I remembered the mocking clip, the comment that limping dude should be playing chess, not lifting weights. I growled, dug deeper, shoulders down, back of steel. The sled moved, 5 feet, 10, 15. Each inch I pushed, the cheers got louder. 20 feet, I let go, dropped to my knees, palms on the turf. The crowd exploded. Someone shouted, "That's the comeback of the year." I stood, faced the judges. Coach Clive raised his score, 9.5. Second judge, 9.2, Derek, still motionless. Then, slowly, he lifted his board, 10.0. The stadium shook, gasps, a roar. I met his eyes. He said nothing, but I saw it. He was swallowing pride like it burned going down. The award ceremony. I stood on the podium. Medal heavy around my neck, American flag behind me. The crowd chanted my name. My mum called on FaceTime, tears in her eyes. Mia stood off to the side, and for the first time in almost a year, her expression softened. Derek stepped forward with the medal case. It was protocol. He had no choice. His hand gripped the box tight. Eyes never left mine. "Didn't think you'd come back," he muttered. Barely audible. "I didn't come back," I said. I rose above. I took the medal, turned to the crowd. The entire town was on its feet. Once, I was the joke, but today I was the silence that shut the whole town up. The night after the competition, I walked into Frankie's Tavern, a small bar in downtown Clayton, where locals gathered for just about every town celebration. The place smelled of beer and deep-fried everything. Country music played loud over the speakers. Every TV on the wall was replaying highlights from the Strongest Comeback event. And there it was, slow-motion footage of me pulling the barbell. Prosthetic leg planted firm, eyes locked on the camera like I was staring down the world itself. I slid onto the last seat at the bar and ordered a glass of water. No beer. No loud victory toast. I'd survived combat winning wasn't something I needed to shout about. It was something I needed to make peace with. A man next to me turned and stared. "Hey, you're Grant." "Right. The vet who won." I nodded. "I got to admit," he said, rubbing the back of his neck. "I thought that faceplant video was funny, but now I feel like an idiot. You're the real deal, man. Like, inspiring kind of real." I thanked him with a quiet nod. No speeches needed. He wasn't the first to say that this week. And I knew it was starting to shift. 2 days later, I got an anonymous email with the subject line, "Iron Forge. The truth doesn't stay buried." Attached was a short video. Derek standing behind a female client mid-squat, his hands adjusting her form way too intimately, face inches from her neck, voice barely audible, but caught on a hot mic. "If you train privately with me, I'll make sure you tighten up all the right spots." The clip was just 12 seconds long. But in the post-social media world, 12 seconds is more than enough. A hidden account posted it with the caption, "Iron Forge, where the men lift heavy and their morals stay light." Within 48 hours, Iron Forge was temporarily shut down by the Texas Department of Health and Physical Wellness. 3 formal complaints were filed by 3 different women. Local news launched an investigation. And Derek Jensen, the same guy who once declared, "No one survives here if they're weak," vanished from social media. I didn't feel triumphant. I didn't share the video. I just forwarded it to Mia with a single message. He didn't fall from a pun. He collapsed under the weight of his own ego. She replied, "And you stood tall with the kind of pride he'll never understand." A week after the event, I was invited to speak at Clayton High School, the same stage where I once accepted my officer's diploma on 2 strong legs. This time, I returned with a prosthetic and a mic. Over 400 students and parents sat before me. Last year, I was a meme, a punchline on TikTok, the guy limping around, trying to look tough. But you know what memes disappear after 24 hours? Resilience? It stays. I talked about the training, about Mia, about the pain I couldn't always explain. Then I pointed to my leg. It's not something I'm ashamed of. It's a badge of choice. I could have stayed down, or I could have stood up with what I had left. When I left the stage, the students rose to their feet in applause, and I knew my story wasn't just mine anymore. That night, I stopped by Aegis. Mia was waiting with 2 water bottles. We sat in the courtyard, a soft breeze passing through. No words needed. Finally, she asked, "So, what's next?" I looked up at the stars, thinking, I want to open a centre right here in Clayton for anyone who's ever been pushed aside. Doesn't have to be a vet, just someone who's fallen and wants to rise. Mia smirked, half smile, half nod. One more step. What? The name, she said, because every next step is the kindest form of revenge. I knew life wouldn't stop at a medal. There'd be more Dereks, more videos, more people who assumed the worst. But none of that mattered, because now I had something I never thought I'd reclaim: freedom. Not on the battlefield, but in the body I once believed was broken beyond repair. I didn't throw punches. I didn't drag him through the mud. I just stood there, steady, unshaken. And it was that broke him. 1 month after the competition, a new sign went up outside a weathered old warehouse on the edge of Clayton. One more step. The red brick walls still bore scorch marks from a fire years ago. The steel door had been repainted a cool grey. Inside, what once was an abandoned woodworking shop now breathed with a different kind of life. No blaring music, no mirrors on every wall, no posters screaming motivation, just sweat, heavy breathing, and the eyes of people who'd once been seen as less than whole, now watching their own reflections maybe for the first time without needing permission to be strong. My first student was Luis, 19, paralyzed partially in his left leg after a car accident. His mom brought him in, gripping his hand, her eyes laced with hope and hesitation. "He used to love basketball," she said. "Now he just sleeps all day." I didn't offer a speech. Just walked up to Luis and nodded. First day. No proving anything. Just try to stand. Once, he couldn't, but he tried. And that was where everything began. Right there, in the effort. 3 weeks later, someone knocked on the door. I was wiping down equipment. Mia, now officially my co-founder, went to answer. It was a woman. Blazer. Glasses. Pride trembling under guilt. Shannon. She stepped inside, hesitating. Envelope in hand. I'm sorry, she said, voice barely above a whisper. I filmed that video. I posted it to TikTok. Derek said it would boost gym traffic. I didn't respond immediately, just looked at her, long and still, not angry, not smug, just quiet. Finally, I said, "You helped turn me into a joke, but that same clip is why I'm standing here today. So if you're here for forgiveness, I don't hand that out. But if you're here to stand up from your own mistake, the door's always open." She left, teary-eyed. But a week later, she came back, this time in workout gear, hair tied back, no thick makeup, just real sweat. She trained, she strained, she fell, she got back up. And for the first time I saw in her eyes the same fire I'd once seen in my own. 6 weeks later, Ironforge officially closed its doors for good. Derek had his training license permanently revoked after 3 women filed charges for harassment and abuse of authority. No one really knew where he went. Some said Arizona waiting tables. Others said he tried to open another gym, but no one came. I didn't care, because by then I wasn't chasing vengeance anymore. I was building something bigger. That Sunday, we held our first open day. More people showed than we could have imagined. Some came out of curiosity. Some came for inspiration. But most came carrying scars. Some on their bodies, some inside. Luis, who once couldn't stand, now led the sled pull station, calling reps out loud like a coach. Mia stood beside him, nodding subtly. I watched from a distance, chest tight in the best way. A 10-year-old girl approached me. She'd lost her right arm to bone cancer. "Mister, can I still do boxing with just my left hand?" I knelt, looked straight into her eyes. "You can do anything if you don't give up." She smiled, beaming, not with pity, but with belief. That afternoon, after everyone left, I stood alone in the center. A breeze drifted in through the back door. On the wall, Mia had hung a large print of me from the day of the competition. No caption, just that image me, mid-push with the 275 lb sled, prosthetic leg pressed hard into the mat like a reforged sword. I placed my hand on the photo and whispered, "You remember, but you're not defined by it anymore." And if one day Derek were to return, if he walked past this place and saw my name carved into the sign out front, I wouldn't wish him bitterness. I'd wish him smallness, because I didn't need to take everything from him. I just needed him to know I built something from exactly what he tried to crush. We don't burn our enemies to ashes. We outshine them so bright they never dare step back into their own darkness again.